Welcome to another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. Thank you for joining us for episode 43. Today we are going to be talking about Abducted in Plain Sight, a documentary that debuted on Netflix at
Mm,
2019. If you haven't seen it, it's still on Netflix. Go see it. Be prepared to be amazed. So we're going to talk about that today. Also talk about a few stories that we found on the internet. But as always, I'm going to start off with my name is Brandy. We have Brandy W, and we also have Jackie. These are the people that you're going to see every week, every Tuesday here on YouTube. You can also visit us on Instagram and Facebook at Black Coffee Crime or email us at info@blackcoffeecrime.com. The way that this show works, because every now and again we need a reminder of the way that we do things. I know it says Black Coffee and Crime, and normally people expect you to, if you announce the story, the theme of the story, they want you to start immediately. That is not what we do. Behind me, it says true crime, current events, and other bullshit. That. So we talk about the true crime stories, the current events that we find on Al Gore's internet and other bullshit that we might come up with, or was just on our mind. That's what we do. The topic usually starts 30 minutes in, so at any point you can just fast forward to the good part or what you think is the good part. That's just what we do. We talk. We like to talk, and we can do that because it's our show. We appreciate all the views that we get. We also appreciate comments. We just want to remind you of the way we do things here. We will not be reinventing the wheel with any information that we find, but what you will get here is a different perspective. That's all we can guarantee is our perspective will be different. You'll most likely be entertained. If not, again, we still appreciate the view. All right. So, having said that, those were the church announcements. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Obey your pastor. Excuse me, respect your pastor and always obey your ushers. All right, let's get going with this week. All right, so what stories did you guys find interesting on the internet this week? This past week? Anything
I'm
interesting? You still trying to
still
not
laughing.
laugh at Brandy? I don't know why you find her so amusing.
This
She
is what I said. I'm just gonna let y'all know what I said so you understand why she's trying to hold it together. This is the second time that I watched Abducted in Plain Sight. I watched it last night with Brand, and I said that I can't watch it anymore because it upsets me. My eye was twitching, and I was looking like Forrest Whitaker for about 2 hours because I was just that upset at the documentary, even though I had already seen it. It just really bothered me more this time because I already knew
what was gonna happen,
coming. So this time I got to see some stuff that I might have missed the
and it was
first time. I was
still
just like, I
like
can't believe this happened. So that's why she's over there sneagling in the back.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we're gonna
PW is funny, y'all. She's really, really funny. So, because
we're
the way she's saying it to y'all is completely different than how it first shot out. So, like, I'm trying to.
trying to hold it in. Okay, so I'll start off with my story, and then we're gonna zoom past these and then get right to Abducted in Plain Sight. All right. So one of the things that I found on the internet this week, which just happened Saturday the 14th, was here in Dallas. Well, all week, let me say, all week this week, I have been seeing stories of murdered, abducted, and abused children all week, all week. Uh, Parents killing their kids and then themselves, children being found after being missing, uh, you know, uh, partners of parents killing the kids. Like this story in Dallas happened yesterday on the 14th. 4-year-old boy was found in the street, multiple stab wounds. They said he was hit multiple times with a sharp edged object. A woman was walking or running in her neighborhood and she found him early in the morning in the street. The lady who found him is quite traumatized. Um, her
She
name,
thought it was a dog at first.
yeah,
Yeah.
her name was Anthony Square. She said she found the body while out for a walk in her neighborhood around 6:45 a.m. The story comes from one of our favorite sources on Facebook, which is the list of deeds. It's where I first saw the story, and of course, it is on WFF WFAA local news station here in Dallas. They have not released the name of the child. Also, have not released the name of the parents of the child. It says that one of the parents was notified, and they were investigating to see if the child had been reported missing. I do,
Had the child been reported missing? Because I didn't, in the articles that I saw, it did not
they
say.
had not said that. They said they were looking
I
into
said,
it.
what I just read, I didn't see that.
Mm-mm. They were looking into it, but at the time they did not have a report of a missing child. I want to reserve judgment because your kids can't get away from you. You know, in the middle of the night, these kids are smart, they can unlock doors. So I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt. It's a very thin benefit.
Yeah, because then you're gonna have to explain why he had these injuries.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if it wasn't like he wandered out and he got hit by a car, he had like
Multiple
serious injuries.
multiple wounds. It didn't say stab with multiple wounds, but it did say with a sharp edged object. So a knife,
And they did it, and they have a suspect, 18-year-old Darian Brown.
And then what is his relation to the child?
Doesn't say.
Didn't say.
Was he the guy that was running into the woods when the girl spotted the body?
They don't reveal that. It just says that the subject is what was identified as Darian Brown. He was charged with kidnapping and theft. And they are additional charges of pending forensic analysis. So I will post that right next
check.
to.
And then there was a baby, the 5-week-old baby that was missing and then found
In Montgomery, Alabama. Oh,
in Alabama.
Yep.
The dad, I don't really remember. I don't have any memories of what happened.
to his 5-week-old baby.
If anyone has any information, please contact the police.
We just don't know how he disappeared. We don't know. It just happened. Up and left. We don't know what happened. It just happened.
Well, old girl's mama thinks it's because she was living with his family, but old girl's mama or grandmother, one of them, thinks it's because she's about to quit him and go back home.
Boy, listen, let me tell you, cautionary tale. 2 things. Watch who you have children with. Okay? That person might be good for you and you might have a good time, but you don't really know this person. And if we live in this kind of culture where toxic is fun and it's he's possessive and he's this and he's that, he don't want me to leave him. Guess what? Sometimes those things cross over the line and people, he don't want you to leave him. So he or she will destroy everything around you so you can't leave. Watch who you have children with. 2, stop leaving your babies with these random ass people. Okay? Your boyfriend that you met last week at the club and you had him come to your house and he never left is not a good candidate for a caregiver. You don't know him. Stop leaving your children. Oh, I need the babysitter. He was at the house so he could stay. First of all, he needs to get the hell up out your house anyways. Stop bringing your kids around random ass people. You don't know them. You don't know their mental. You haven't talked to that auntie that sits in the corner and knows everything. You ain't talked to the granny that sits in the corner and knows everything. You don't know them. And then you end up with on the news talking about, please bring my baby back. I don't know what happened. You know what happened. Like Brandy and I were talking about the 3-year-old, what was it? Maybe 2 years ago here in Texas. The 3-year-old little girl who had the brain damage and the mom left to go to a funeral. It was in Houston. And the friend said that 2 Mexicans stopped him due to road rage or whatever, stopped him on the highway, stole the little girl, but not the 2 children, 2 other little boys. stole the little girl from
That's
him.
that's not Michaela, is it?
I think it is, and they found her in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's a
you left her with him
freaking
after she had
sick.
recently got out of the hospital with brain damage after he had
Yes.
already abused her. But you left that baby with him to go to a funeral. No, ma'am, you knew what was happening. You knew that man was doing something to your child, and
And was carrying her out on surveillance in a bag, in a
in
laundry basket.
the laundry basket.
In a
Stop
bag.
letting these men. There's so many stories this week of people raping babies and abusing. Listen, be more
I
careful
just
with
don't.
yourself. Be more careful with your kids. They don't get sick.
And I know, and I know, everybody goes, well, you don't know, and I know he seemed like a good dude.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You knew
If
something.
he already giving toxic vibes, y'all only a month or so in. If he already toxic,
He
I
already
just,
living with her by then.
you already living like you got some random dude you don't even really know, and that what you. I just,
But it don't even
my
take a
mama
minute.
told me that you don't be doing that. It's I don't know. You know what? I get real upset about stuff like that because I
It's gonna
just
be
never
fine.
understand what your thought process is as a mother.
Not everybody's meant to be a mother. You are capable physically
A mother,
of producing
and it's not even
children.
a mother of girls no more. It's a mother just in
Period.
general with because
Just-
little boys, it don't matter little boys, little girls, doesn't even matter no more. It used to be just mainly little girls, but now it doesn't even matter anymore.
mm-mm.
And I remember Brand was like, she has a daughter, and she's like, look, nobody came around my child for like, and still can. So, you just have y'all just please get that mentality,
Yes.
please.
My daughter is 23 years old. 23.
Mhm.
And this most recent relationship is the very first time that someone has been around her on a continual basis. And she's 23. After she passed a certain age, I was like, nah, I can't have nobody. It's a girl child.
Right.
And this her house, so I can't tell her you can't walk around how you want to in your house. You can't be free in your house because you got to go put this on, or you have to do this because somebody's coming over. No, if you can't trust the people in your life not to be predators around your kids, then they don't need to be around. So don't be, oh, someone, don't be around them. They be looking at,
Mm.
then you need to get them away. So that was my decision. Um, Live how you want to live, but protect your kids. And unfortunately, with this little 4-year-old, we don't know right now who Darren Brown is in relation to him, or if he's even a viable suspect with him, because they just said he's a suspect. So, of course, as we always do, we will give some updates. Speaking of updates, okay, so last week, beginning of the year, we did a story on Move and the Philadelphia bombing in 1985. A couple weeks ago, we said that there was two professors at Penn and at Princeton who had possession of the remains of two of the children that were killed in the 1985 bombing. They just made it exponentially worse this week. So this past week was the 40th anniversary of the bombing. Was it the 40th year or 30? Happened in 1985. So I think it was 36 years anniversary or something like that. This past week. Why did they find out that one of the medical examiners, I believe, cremated members of Move without their family's permission? He cremated.
What?
Yes.
This whole situation was botched.
He cremated them without their family's permission. So you have these people, and if you look at comments in some of the posts or whatever, people are like, well, they were criminals. They were not criminals.
They sure were not.
Radicals, whatever. But what happened in 1985 was unwarranted, and if I don't give a damn who you are, you cannot justify what happened. But the fact that you did this and you killed 13 people and approximately half of those being children. And you keep some of the bodies for study and you use them in an anthropological class at your Ivy League universities. Then you come out and it's found out that you cremated some of the remains of these people. So you didn't even give the families an opportunity. You made it seem like they were lost in the rubble of the 64 houses that were bombed that day. Y'all,
Horrible.
this was 1985.
Horrible.
1985. 1985. So 1985, y'all. But anyway, well, not anyway, but the guy, the medical examiner, was actually fired. He was still on the payroll for the city of Philadelphia after all this time. He was immediately let go.
Yeah,
Immediately,
you want people that crazy.
immediately let go. Listen, I am more afraid of white supremacy and the idea of white supremacy and white privilege that allows you to do this with impunity than I am of any Satanist, any witch, any Wiccan, um, anything. There is nothing on this earth more scary than white privilege. And I'm not saying that all white people are evil. That's not what I'm saying. But for those who use their privilege, and it exists, use that privilege to do some evil shit like this, that's scary. You do some evil shit like this, and yet you still sit on the board of a city. You still
Yeah.
you still represent certain congressional districts. You still go into a classroom and teach people's kids. After you've done this, like you don't have any qualms about using the remains of a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old who died 30 years ago, not 130 years ago, not 300 years ago, but 30 years ago, people that you know who have family. You know these children have families. Yet you parade their bones around as if you found them in the yard and they were a dead puppy. That's evil as fuck.
Very evil.
That is evil. That is
Very evil.
that is on the same level as Dr. Mengele. That is on the same level of Joseph Goebbels. That is on the same level of Adolf Hitler. And we can go on and on. That is the same level as Pol Pot. That is the same level as Stalin. We can go on. Like no sense of humanity at all.
None.
None. You can't make that make sense. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, the fact that you have the bones of somebody's child and you use them in your classroom is evil. The fact that you cremated these people without the permission of their families and then didn't even bother to give their remains to their families, that's evil. And I don't care how you use white privilege. If you use your white privilege against humans, no matter what color, what culture they come from, that's evil as shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's evil. That's all that is. So yeah. So more updates on the evilness of fucking Americans.
Mm.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll stop. Yeah.
Well, it's a reason to be pissed.
Yeah, because it's gonna be in the comments. Somebody gonna be in the comments. Well, it's not all white people. No, it ain't. But there's enough evil. It's enough evil ones out there to taint.
Yeah.
To taint the barrel.
All right.
It's enough evil out there to taint the barrel. All right, I'm sorry. So Jackie, you did have an update on a story from the White Underbelly, which is like a series on YouTube that, if you're not familiar with it, basically it talks about those people who are at the bottom of society. If they're poor, if they're on the fringes as far as drug addicts, prostitutes, people from certain poor regions, they interview them, and they're quite in-depth interviews. And one of the people that was interviewed was was she a prostitute as well, or just a drug addict?
Hmm.
Just prostitute and drug
But
addict.
well, I guess what made her so interesting is watching her downfall in like a matter of months. That's what drew me in. I mean, of course, it's sad regardless. But when I saw her go from really being on there because she was a prostitute, that was her first interview was, yeah, I do a couple of drugs, but I'm a prostitute. My family was like this. And then seeing that second interview and literally her going from here to there, like that, and looking and
It's
seeing she
like
looked
a
like she lost,
totally different person.
it was a total, I mean, she had lost like 75 pounds. And she was so gone. She was not, and if it was so big and such a big deal that it affected the guy who was doing it. He was just like,
What was the
this is
time span?
crazy.
What was the time span from the
Her
first
time,
to the next to the second one?
I want to say about 8 months. I want to say. I can't quite remember because it's 4 interviews. Three interviews, I'm sorry. It's the first one where she was just really the prostitute. Then it was a drug addict. Then it was a bad drug addict. And then it was, I'm now being saved. So those were the course of the videos. So, but I do know between these two, it had to be like around 6 to 8 months. It was fast. That's fast.
I think I saw the first two or snippets of the first two. Um, and you can see like there's those progression videos that you see of meth addicts,
Hmm.
but it's different to see this person speaking to you. Um,
Hmm.
it's very hard for me to watch because I've seen people go into decline like that. I've seen people that I know personally go to decline like that. So it's very hard to watch. But apparently, this young lady passed away in.
Hmm. On the
Um,
ninth.
the story was where on the neighborhood talk on Instagram.
Hmm.
Yeah. What was her
Yeah,
name?
she passed away on the
Yeah,
ninth.
I mean, you could see the progression of mental illness too as
Hmm.
you went on. She was very clear in the beginning, and then she just went into the government, China, and she's a clone. I
Hmm.
mean, it just was and then they came back and when she was clean and it was just like a brand new person and she just seemed
Yeah.
like full of life and so full of what am I trying to say?
I
Just like the
hope.
future was just right there for her. Like she was really coming out of this. And then unfortunately, she died peacefully in her sleep. But
Yeah, the young lady's name was Amanda. Um, and she's featured on the Software Underbelly. I will try to find a link to her interviews on YouTube and post them. I will repost the links from the neighborhood talk on our Instagram page so you can see. There was an interview when she was at her lowest point, summer of 2020, and then just a few weeks ago in April, she did another interview, and she
Hmm.
looked like she had gained almost 50 pounds.
Hmm.
And she looked really good. But here's the thing, Jackie and I were talking about. Though she died in her sleep. They said they don't know. They've ruled out drugs or foul play. Is all they said because they really don't know why she died. Unfortunately, as much as you forgive yourself for your addiction, as much as society forgives you for your addiction, your body does not. We do so much damage to our bodies that sometimes it's irreparable damage. And you can't get those things back, you know, and we might, say I've turned myself over to the Lord or whatever religion, and I'm spiritually sound. I'm looking forward. I have hope, but your body is still like, we can't do this. We can't do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a car. When you go and you get something fixed on your car, all of a sudden that one thing that was broken is working really well, but now it puts stress on the other things that aren't working really well. And so now those other parts of your car are overworking to keep up with the thing that now has been restored. Well, your body does the same thing. And sometimes, you know, your immune system doesn't act right. Your your heart, your lung, all these things are damaged. And she was 25, I believe. 25. 25. So imagine
Young.
all of that happening a whole 3, 4 lifetimes at, at 25. So I wish her an easy way for the rest of her journey, because and
Yeah.
as well as her family and the people that know her and the people that were rooting for her. Yeah, so I will try to post those things on try to find the link. All right, so for those of you that want us to get to the story quick, we're gonna get to the story in 20 minutes. We're gonna get to this story. All right. So about 2 years ago, I'm surfing through Netflix. That's what I do, to search through Netflix for hours. And I saw this documentary, Abducted in Plain Sight. I'm like, yeah, I can watch this. I couldn't watch it. Just 10 minutes in, I was like, oh no, no. Because within 10 minutes, you hear the voice of the abductor. And he's kind of
Mm-hmm.
describing why he abducted this girl. And it is completely disturbing. So I was like, I can't do it. A friend of mine watched it. Brandy and I have a friend named Cindy. She watched it. I saw her post on Facebook. She was flabbergasted. Cindy is kind of unflappable. Okay, like steadfast. Cindy is almost unflappable, but Cindy was shaking. Okay, so I was like, I have to. And I'm watching this, and every 10 minutes, I'm stopping the video to yell at
That
the
is
the TV, because I can't really believe what the hell is going on. Okay.
I'm looking around. I'm watching it by myself, but I'm looking around like, did y'all see? But there ain't
yes,
nobody
because
there.
this the one I first watched it. Me and Brandy were together, and we weren't even talking about it. I was at work watching this and pausing and going, "Oh,
And I was like, are you watching that video?
what is anybody what is?" I was just.
Are you watching
I'm
that
talking.
video?
I'm talking. I'm pausing consistently, and complete and utter shock. Some moments I even rewonder, like, did this?
Yes. For those of you who do not know and who have never
Please go
seen
watch
this
it.
and have never heard of this is what happened. And then we'll get into why we are so done with it.
Yeah, yeah.
In the early 70s in Pocatello, Idaho, there was a family called the Broberg, and they had 3 little girls. And they were members of the Latter-day Saints church, religious community. There was a new family that moved in, and they were the Brechtold. And, Latter-day Saints, businessman with a wife and multiple children, and seemed like nice guy. So they really thought that they meshed well. Well, Robert Birchtold really like got himself into this family. Like he swiggled his way into this family. He was charming and he seemed nice. And the Brobergs seemed really naive. And he really lashed onto their oldest daughter, Jan. Now, at the time that they meet, Jan is like 8 or 9 years old. Okay. Robert Birchtold is their neighbor. He has children, but he really latches on to Jan. And the family thinks, oh, he's showing an interest. That's great. He's a nice guy. He takes her horseback riding. He's always super affectionate. They think maybe that's a little weird, but not harmful. Time goes by, and Robert insinuates himself into the family even more. He basically tells the Brobergs what to do with their daughter. So, in order to alienate her from her family, like he tells them that she should have a room by herself. At the time of meeting them, she has a room in the basement with her sister. Well, he's like, you guys should, I'm a little handyman. You guys should just go ahead and separate her room right now, and I'll do that for you. So they're like, yeah, okay, fine. They do that. Time goes. Now we'll get into the details of all the nasty. Time goes by. He takes her. He's supposed to be taking her horseback right now. He had done this multiple times. He'd taken her horseback riding multiple times. but only her, not his children, just her, not the rest of the Burberg children, just Jan. No one thought this was crazy. So one day, in 1972, no, 1974, he takes her horseback riding and gives her an allergy for the horses, right? Because some people are just horses. She's a little girl, so she takes the pill. He kidnaps her for 35 days. Yeah. 35 days. It took the family over 5 days to call the damn FBI because the mom didn't really want to create a stink. She didn't want to bother anybody. I'm quite sure he's not harming her. Your 12-year-old is gone.
He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, they said it's so much. I mean, so much. But he was a nice guy. Yeah, I know. And then they would go, I know it sounds crazy. And at times I knew it was crazy, but
I just
he
didn't want
was
to bother him.
such a nice guy. Like,
Nice
I didn't
guy.
want to bother anybody.
So in that 35 days, he's basically brainwashing this child. He's raping this child. He takes her to Mexico, but he's very strategic because it's almost her 12th birthday. She's 11 at the time of the kidnapping. It's almost, and the parents never really called it a kidnapping. They never said it was kidnapping. He takes her to Mexico where the legal age to get married was 12. She turns 12 during this abduction. He marries her. Then he convinces her not to tell her father, not to tell anybody about the pills, not to tell anybody about the mission, about the alien planet that she was supposed to save with her having a baby. He convinces the parents to drop the charges. Then time goes
repeat, just in case they didn't hear you, repeat that line.
He convinces the parents to drop the charges. Now, the reason why he convinces the parents to drop charges, we get to that. Time goes by, he's still contacting her. Some stuff goes on with the parents. He abducts her again, but here with this second abduction, the mother kind of delivers her to him. Wasn't even really an abduction. She hand delivers this child to him. They keep going until she's about 16, and then the light starts to go on. He continues to harass her for the rest of her life. She writes a book 30 years later.
And how long did he keep her for the second abduction? Second abduction, just in case they didn't hear that one.
2 weeks. No.
It was some months.
Time, okay. She sent her to him the second time for 2 weeks when he moved to Wyoming.
Right.
The actual second abduction, because we're not going to call the second time an abduction because she hand delivered that baby. The second abduction happened in 1974-ish, 1975, no, 1976. And he takes her to California and puts her in a nunnery, basically. He tells the nuns for 90 days. He tells the nuns in this convent in Pasadena, California, that he's a CIA agent, and if anybody comes looking for him or Jan, because he uses her first name, then they are trying to get to them. The girl comes back home. Now, this is what just threw me. The girl comes back home after 3 months gone, walks in the door like she just saw her parents 15 minutes ago. Don't say nothing to her mama. Slams the damn door and goes in her room and slams the damn. And just is a basic little bitch for a long time until she turns
for a long time.
All right, that is in a nutshell what happens on Abducted in Plain Sight. But let's get to the nitty gritty damn details. All right. I need to hold on.
You want me to say it or you got it?
Go ahead.
You're my eye ready.
Get that Forrest Whitaker going.
Not only was this man molesting their daughter, he also was carrying on a relationship with the mother for at least 8 months. Right. And the dad, we're not sure how long their relationship lasted.
The relationship with the father started first. Okay, so Robert broke, excuse me,
No,
Robert
the relationship with the mother
Mother
started
started
first.
with the
first.
mom, yes, because he started flirting with her. Her name
Right.
is Marianne.
But
She
this
started
could have been
flirting,
simultaneously. He could have
right?
been
At
doing
the same
this.
time.
Yeah.
But he has this way of charming this whole family. So he starts flirting with Marianne, which is the mom, telling her, like, he calls her one day on the phone and is like, "Hey, I'm alone in the shop. Why don't you bring me lunch?" Your wife
You
is
got a
in
whole
Florida.
wife at the house.
But Marianne is like, "Well, you know what? He's a new businessman in the area.
And
He
he
looks like a
seemed
nice guy. So, yeah, I took him lunch, and he made me feel a way that Bob never made me feel."
because we were only what you said they were married. We've been married for 12 years, and
13 years, and
it was new and exciting, and no one's made me
Bob
feel that
can
way.
make me feel like this.
Can't do
But the
that.
reason why Bob can make you feel like this is because Bob is gay. Let's jump over to Bob Broberg. So Bob is just as enamored with Robert Birchtold, who they call B, as the wife is. So Robert Birchtold B is like a chameleon. He does whatever he needs to do to get to Jan, which is their 9-year-old daughter,
Just sick.
when he meets them. He basically starts flirting with the mom, and then he starts flirting with the dad. And Bob Broberg says in the documentary, he's like, "I went to the shop one day," because Bob is a florist, and he's like, "I went to the shop one day, and um, Robert just seemed really out of it, and
Frustrated.
he was really frustrated and tense, and his wife wasn't satisfying him. What grown man is so concerned about another grown man being satisfied by his wife?" He said his wife
A
wasn't satisfying him.
grown man in love with another grown man.
Huh. So they went for a ride. Robert says, "Let's go for a ride." So he's like, "Okay." And then during the ride, he's like, "I'm not being satisfied. Gail, who's his wife, is not satisfying me. And I'm really frustrated. I really need some relief."
And then Bob notices that B is aroused. B looks
Those
at
were
Bob.
the exact quote. That's the exact quote. You're amazing, BW. The exact quote.
B says to Bob, basically, you gonna help me out or what?
Like, "Can you give me a reach around?" That's what he said. "Can you give me a reach
You'll
around?"
reach around.
And Bob is like, "Well, and then he starts crying, okay, which is funny, because he's like, "This is the worst thing that I've ever done. But
It's a part.
I gave him relief."
The crazy part is it's not that he gave him a relief that he felt was the worst thing. It's that he felt he betrayed his wife in that moment. It's not that he just gave another man. He's supposed to be a pastor at the St. Latter-day Church. It's not that he gave that man, a hit down. It's not that. It's just that for that brief moment, he felt bad about betraying his wife.
Who's
And I was
also
like,
betraying him with the same man.
Hmm?
Who is also betraying his wife is betraying him.
Yes, with the same thing. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just for the men out there. I mean, I know you guys talk to each other about your relationships and stuff. You probably not as much as women do, but you share things. Your boy's sitting up there tenting in his jeans, just straight up tenting. And you was like, you know what, bruh? You really
got
struggling. Let me handle that for you.
Barbara ain't doing her job. Let me see what I can do for you. So
This
Mr.
did you see all our
Broberg-
faces at one moment? We were just kind of like,
Mr. Broberg makes it seem like it was a one-off, like it was a one and done.
yeah.
No, because later on in the documentary, Robert Birchtold is giving a deposition to the FBI, and he says that they had a homosexual relationship.
Yes. Even threatened the wife and threatened the family that he was going to tell everybody that
This
they
is
had a
why-
homosexual relationship.
And that's why they dropped the charges, because
That's
he
why they
was
dropped the
going to
charges.
reveal that he was having a homosexual relationship with Robert. And they said, the wife said, Marianne says, we couldn't let that happen. This man kidnapped, raped, and married your 12-year-old daughter. But you guys are so afraid of your community, you're standing in the community, that you're gonna let that slide because you don't want anybody to know you're homosexual.
That lets you know that how bad homosexuals were seen, that you'd rather admit you're a pedophile than
Wow.
to be a homosexual.
Because if you're a pedophile, especially in religious communities, they'll let you get away with that. You need counseling. You need counseling.
Yes, all he got was some counseling.
And you know,
I'm a pedophile, but he's a homosexual.
Right. And maybe I'm just sick and I need counseling and I need whatever. And Robert, let's just say B, because they're both named Robert. Bob Broberg and then B. B apparently did get counseling from a psychiatrist in California. The thing now, the psychiatrist had lost his license because he was a pedophile as well. He was telling B that he needed to basically absolve himself. The way that he was going to get over this was to be around, to save a little girl, and to be around Jan. So after he goes to his treatment, he comes back and he tells the Brobergs that part of his counseling is that he needs to be around Jan and he needs to sleep with her.
Playing the tape.
That's going to help him while he plays this tape as he sleeps. But in the tape that he's listening to as he sleeps are vivid descriptions of pornographic, violent, sexual acts with a child, and how he's going to be aroused when he's laying next to this 9-10-year-old girl in her bed for 6
And her parents
months.
allowed him to do. He explained that this was part of his therapy. And the parents allowed him 4 nights out of the week.
For 6 months, they allowed it. Now, mind you, B has children of his own, so why couldn't you have done this with your children?
His wife. I'm like, how are you just comfortable?
What kind of therapy says you need to the therapy that you're getting because you have pedophilia, if that's a word, tendencies and thoughts about a child? What kind of therapy says, you know what, immerse yourself into that shit even more?
F your therapy. F your therapy. You're not, matter of fact, you ain't allowed at this house. Like, I better not even see you pass the property line.
Period.
If you went to rehab, what kind of rehab says, you know what, smoke more crack until you just get tired? What? We're going to drop you off. We're going to drop you off at the trap house for your therapy. What?
No, my thing is the parents let him do it. Like, he's coming with this off the wall stuff, and the parents are like, well, it's
every night, like 4 times a week, he is being let into their house.
It's part of therapy, so anything to help B.
Yeah. And Jan describes times, Jan, who is the child, who now is a grown woman, she describes times when she would wake up and her gown would be up and her panties would be around her ankles. And B would say, well, you know, maybe you were sleeping kind of rough. And maybe that's what's wrong. Because they went out, they slept one night, they slept on the trampoline outside. It was the Broberg girls and then B's children as well. She wakes up, he's on the trampoline with them, and her panties are around her ankles. Just hers. She slept that rough. But he's out there too.
I've never, ever in my life slept that hard. Ever.
Not draws falling. Ain't nobody draws falling.
Y'all.
I mean, you might have some droopy draws because sometime run out on you, but they don't end up in your ankles.
No. The FBI agent, and I forgot his name. The FBI agent was so pissed off.
He's still
pissed off. He still got the eye.
It's 40 some years later, and he's still mad because so they didn't contact him. So This happened on a Thursday when he first kidnapped her the first time. It was a Thursday afternoon. He's like, I want to take her horseback riding. The mom's like, no, it's school night, blah, blah, blah. Or you know what? Fine, just be back before your dad gets home. She doesn't come back, doesn't come back, doesn't come back. The wife, B's wife comes over, Gail, and she's like consoling them. Day after day goes by, day after day goes by. They still don't contact the police. They finally try to contact the FBI, it's there in Pocatello, but it's closed. So they're like, you need to call the one in Montana. I think it was Butte, Montana, or Wyoming, or something like that, whatever the next state over. So they say, yeah. So they call 5 days in, they call the FBI. FBI is like, he kidnapped her.
Well,
Oh
you know,
no,
we didn't want to.
no, we don't think
like
he
No.
did it.
out
From her. So they go, they find out that B has a storage unit with an RV. They go, the RV is gone. So they're like, hell yeah, this is a kidnapping. They go, a park ranger finds the car abandoned with blood on the outside of the door and glass on the inside of the car, meaning that someone kicked the glass in, not out. Right?
Mhm.
No, they keep the glass out. So it was just, and so they're like, and then they find tire tracks and foot tracks. So they're like, he picked her up out of this car to put her in the RV and left, which is exactly what happened. The Brobergs are still denying that this is a kidnapping. Still denying. Day after day after day after day after day. So finally, B's brother, his half brother, I believe, is like, my brother's a pedophile. He's always been a pedophile. He tried to rape our little sister. Y'all need to go get him. And he's like, you know, he said he did it. And he's like, I know he's going to kill me if he finds out that I'm going to be told. So he approaches the Brobergs and is like, he kidnapped your daughter. And they're like, no, he didn't. Never. And he's like, you know what? Let me call the FBI. He calls the FBI. They get a wiretap on the brother's phone. So when B calls, they found out he was in Mazatlan. So at that time, they knew what he was going to do. They knew he was trying to marry her. They called the federales to get him arrested. But that's when he bribes some of them, and he has a chance to talk to Jan to convince her not to talk about the mission. Now, the mission for today, the mission was that she was half alien, and that part of her mission was to have children to save the alien planet. And
before the age of 16, she had to have this child.
Because if she
Yeah, it was her
did not have
job.
a child
With the male subject.
with the chosen male subject, because if she did not have a child by the time she was 16, the aliens were going to come for her sister Susie. She was going to die. They were going to come for her sister. They were going to kill her father just because she didn't have the child. And just so happened, B happened to be the chosen. The two aliens that were visiting her or whatever, because he was like brainwashing her through these cassette tapes, were Zeta and Zephyr. And so
While he was high.
while she was high on these sleeping pills,
for allergy pills.
now mind you, she's 12.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that we talked about, because Brandy was like, how could she believe that? But, and I could be wrong about the exact details because I'm not a part of this religious community, but I believe that part of what he's telling her is half truth, is enough truth that she would recognize these things, or she would be comfortable with this whole alien planet mission thing. Because in that religious community, they do believe that you will ascend to some alien ass planet. And
No, that's Scientology.
no, because even that's Scientology, but that's why Black people weren't allowed into the Mormon churches, because they said that we were demons and we weren't going to be allowed.
Yeah, we were the angels that were cast out of heaven with Satan. So that's why our skin is dark, because we were those bad.
I don't know if you've seen that cartoon that they used to show the kids, their kids.
Wait a minute. What?
Girl,
yeah, the angels that were kicked out of heaven, they were punished, kicked out, and because of that, their skin was dark.
And that's according to Mormons?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's why Black people weren't allowed in their church until recently. And if you're Black, I don't even know if you really want to be part of that church now.
Yeah, why would you want to go in there?
They
Yeah.
they have black folks
They
in
do.
their
They do.
church
But
now.
that's a part, but part of what he's telling her is familiar enough to her. The lie that he's telling her is close enough to the truth that she believes.
What she
So
says. What she says. She says, I know that people think like, why will I believe that? She said, but my religion, this is scary. This is a scary thing when this happens. And it was easy for me to believe it because it was so scary, according to my religion. So she did mention that. She mentioned something about it. I mean, I
And we
personally
don't
was
know
like, she a
if he,
child.
we don't know
A
if he was
child can be
mentioning
easily
stuff to
manipulated.
her on their outings.
right.
Then,
Hmm.
small little things on their outings, just small little things. And then she's on this medication, which were sleeping pills. And, you know, she's going in and out of consciousness and she's hearing these tapes telling her what to do. I know I've fallen asleep and had dreams about what I've seen on TV. And then you wake up, you're not sure if you're asleep or you're awake. You're like, wait a minute, let me get my bearings. Where am I? So,
Hmm.
this man has taken every opportunity to be around her, to try to trick. I mean,
Endear
her
himself
parents
to
fell
her.
for it. Her
Yeah.
parents.
So in the middle of all of this, the FBI, after they get her back the first time, the FBI is like, don't talk to them, don't do anything. Stay away from them. They don't, which is the reason why the FBI agent is still pissed off. They allow B's wife to come over, and they sign these affidavits basically saying that he didn't kidnap her and blah, 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 to save the whole homosexual rumor thing. And of course, like we said, a year later, Marianne, Jan says she's gonna run away to go be with B because he had bought this amusement park, which gives him unlimited access to the little girls. And she's like, I'm gonna run away anyway. So Marianne's like, well, since she's gonna run away, I'll just take her. She gives this 13-year-old child a plane ticket to Jackson Hole, Wyoming? And she delivers her to him. It's B's brother, the same one who told on him before, was like, you need to go home. So he makes her go home. She's unhappy. She's lashing out at them. And then that's when he kidnaps her the second time she runs away. Actually, she doesn't run away. He just walks away with her because he's in and out of their house. Because guess what? He built the basement bedroom, so he knows how to get in and out. He has easy access to this bedroom. So he just takes her.
And he talking to the mama still.
Then between the time of the second abduction, well, between the time that the mom hand delivers the baby and the second abduction, 1975, for 8-month period between 1975 and 1976, Marianne and B are engaged in a sexual affair. So, there's two things that this woman knows. He has a homosexual relationship with your husband and a pedophilic or whatever relationship with your child. But you engage into a sexual relationship with him as well because he made you feel
and fall in love. And fell in love.
When she felt flutters or something.
Yeah, she was in love.
You didn't feel disgusted. You felt flutters after he had sex with your husband.
Of course, this is a part of all his plan, because if he could separate the dad, because at this point, Jan really doesn't have anything to do with her dad, because the aliens told her not to engage with any other men, boys at all. So let me see how I can get Jan to myself. I'll force them to get divorced. I will call Bob and be like, me and your wife are having a sexual affair.
And you should leave her.
Yeah, you should leave her.
And Bob is like, you know what? You're right. She betrayed me. This is the worst thing ever. And I can't have her around my kids. You are getting your butt plugged by the local furniture salesman. In 1972, Pocatello, Idaho, as a Latter-day Saint. Listen, I don't have anything to this butt plug. Okay, do it. If it feels good to you, go ahead and do it. I don't really care. But I'm just saying.
Welcome to Latter-day Saints.
But you went against everything that you're supposed to believe in you're a minister and all of this stuff, and now your wife is having a heterosexual relationship with this man, but you had a homosexual relationship with this man, which is something that he's totally against. I'm not against it because I don't care. Do what you want to do, but you're against it. But now you say because she had this relationship and she's destroying her family, and it's you can't have your kids around her. She betrayed her 13-year-old daughter for you. She betrayed her child, and that woman should hate her parents to this day. You because her she betrayed her child for you, and you gonna leave her because she's sleeping with your man. That's why he did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he did it. He didn't do it because she was a danger to the children. He did that because she took her man, his man.
Mm-hmm.
They forgot all about Jan. Jan is like collateral damage to their love for B. Because if you
Don't
watch
they give about themselves through this whole thing? What will other people think? What about how I feel? And it's nothing about Jan at all.
no,
Nothing.
No.
All
if
about
you watch
him.
this documentary, one
No.
thing that you will notice is how the three of us are displayed on this screen, right? One thing that you'll notice is that person for person between Bob Broberg, Marianne Broberg, and Jan Broberg, they are all still very much in love with him. They are in awe of this man. They make
Especially the
apologies for
mom.
this
She
man.
still
You could see
Yeah,
in her
especially the
face
mom.
she talks
holding back
about
a
him.
smile when she was thinking about
Oh
their
yes,
relationship.
she has
Yeah.
this little, smile on her face when she talks about him, like she could still feel those flutters as she says, about
Even
me.
even when they were playing the conversations when he abducted her the second time, and she was like the FBI told her to go with it, but it was the way she would answer and
Are you still in
communicate.
love with her?
Hi, B.
Are you gonna marry
Hi.
her? Are you still interested in
Are
marrying?
you still in love with her? You still want to marry her? Like, it's sad.
When he
She said
I'm
said,
still jealous.
he
Jan's out
said,
there, she's a prostitute, she's doing all this stuff. Oh
"Oh my
wow.
God."
Oh wow.
He tells her mom. Now, mind you, this is a 14-year-old child at this time. The second abduction. B tells her mom, she's like, "Are you still in love with her? You still want to marry her?" B tells Marianne, "No man could have loved a woman more than I loved you." She's 14. You have been messing with this girl since she was 9. Marianne does not seem disturbed at all that this grown ass man just told you that no man can love a woman more about your child. I wish the fuck. Again, I just told y'all that my child is 23 years old.
He said there was no one else in the world for him but Jan.
Jan still says the same thing. At the very end of the documentary, they're like, "Do you forgive him?" And she's like, "Well, forgiveness is a strange word because you have to forgive somebody or it just bothers you." She's like, "But it's crazy that the one person that I should stop thinking about is the person that I think about every day." Y'all, my daughter is 23.
All right, it's starting again, y'all. So
That
you
Forrest
see,
Whitaker, 23 years old. And let me tell y'all, look, my daughter will tell anybody who will listen that my uncles, you have to watch out for my uncles and my grandfather and all of that. But the person that you really have to worry about is my mom. I told this boy when Lola was in high school, going to college, I didn't like this young man. He's disrespectful little shit. I told this young man, and I don't think he got it the first time I said it. I said, "I look good in orange and I have great penmanship. Don't fuck with me." And he's like, "Huh?" I said, "I look really good in orange and I have great penmanship. Meaning I'm not afraid to go to jail behind that.
I really am not.
If
I
you
really am
come
not.
back to my house, other than the way she left this house, me and you gonna have a big problem. A
Right,
real
you were saying that just a couple years ago.
And I'll say it right now when she's 23.
I know. I said you said. I'm just saying, like you said when he was younger. I'm like, you been saying this film.
Girl, I'll tell anybody, listen, I am the manager. Okay. Any problems with that one, all problems with that one, you just send it right to the manager. I will deal with it. Okay. Don't talk to her. You talk to the manager. I'll handle all that shit. Tell me that shit. Oh my God. Even, okay. So during the 90 days of the second abduction, Jan calls home and she sounds like she's 14, but she sounds like she's 5.
Yes.
It annoys the hell out of me. And I'm thinking, did he make her sound like that? Did he like this childlike
I was just
way?
calling to tell you guys I love you and I miss you. And nothing. No, no, I'm fine.
And you could tell that B was
Doing
there with
good.
her because when they ask her
Yes.
pointed questions, she avoids them. Like,
Yes, she does.
I love you. And they're like, are you coming home? Bob says, are you coming home? I just wanted to call you and tell you that I love you. And so he asked in that conversation, Bob says, do you still want to marry him? What? What? I can't help but to think that this is a part of their religion, that it's okay for a young girl to marry an old ass man, and that y'all are okay with this because you keep ask him if he's still in love with her and if he wants to marry her, and then they ask her if she still wants to marry him, and she's like, yes, no, more so than ever, or something to that effect.
I mean, I actually thought, I was like, is it because he still got a little bit of feelings for him? I mean, I'm like, you literally haven't talked to your daughter in months. And the only thing you feel you needed to say in the brief moment of time you had was, do you still love him? Do you still want to
whether or
marry
not
him?
they can have him.
Yeah.
When Marianne talks to Bob, she asked her, you still in love with her? Do you want to marry her? Bob asked, do you still want to marry him? So it's kind of like, can we have it? If you don't want him, can I have
You
it?
don't want him? Can we
Can I
have it?
You want to eat the
Do
rest
you
of the
still
chips?
want it?
Can I have it? Oh, okay.
Just literally, I
Drink
just
break.
when I watched that part again.
Y'all, this is like watching it a third time.
I can't watch this the third time. I wish that
Just
we could.
talking about it is like watching it the third time because it's just so stupid.
I've
It's
never
extremely.
seen anything like this. And again, if
I'm
you guys
no.
haven't seen Abducted in Plain Sight, please go to Netflix.
Please.
I think it's been on Netflix continuously for the last 2 years. Please go watch
I'll
it.
be embarrassed to show my face.
They're taking it off. I think they're taking it off soon, though. No, that's not it. Never mind.
Go watch.
Please go watch it.
This. Again, it came out in 2017, but it was debuted in 2017, but it made its way to Netflix in 2019. That's when I saw it in 2019.
Me too.
So, okay, the way that this ends is when Jan is about 16, she starts, she goes to this drama camp or whatever. So she has her birthday while she's there. So she's expecting to die because she ain't pregnant yet. She don't die. Well, she's also expecting it, that other things in her life are just gonna just crumble, and so she makes this pact with herself. She's like, if I'm not pregnant, then I'm gonna ask my sister Susie if she wants to do this, if she wants to be picked next, and if she doesn't, I'm gonna kill her and then myself. Right. But some things happen, like the dogs got sick, so she's thinking, oh my God, it's starting. But she's like, my dad's still there, my sister's still here, I'm still here. And so the light starts to come on, like maybe this isn't true. But then she's like, she tells Zeta and Zethra, oh, I'm sorry. We're the alien gods or whatever. I'm sorry. I do believe in you. But so slowly but surely she kind of comes out of it, but not really, because if you see the look in her eye in these interviews, you can see she's still lost in the sauce a little bit. So she writes a book 30 years later about her experiences. Her and her mom write this book, and they start like on this press tour. Well, B is upset by it because it's like it's all lies, and she left with me. It was consensual and all this stuff. And they take him to court to get a restraining order. And he's still upset. So basically he tries to kill her. he goes to one of the speaking engagements that she's at. She has these bikers. What is the group called? Bikers for
Bikers against sexual assault children.
yeah.
So
So
like,
they escort her, to a couple of these places for protection. And he has these assault rifles and these guns, and he's gonna kill her. Well, he gets arrested, he gets charged, but then he kills himself in jail. But again, they talk about B. They still call him by this very affectionate nickname.
yes,
And until the very end, they are still very much.
Do you know that
Don't-
before they changed the name to Abducted in Plain Sight, the original name of the documentary was supposed to be Forever B?
Really?
what? Yeah, weird. It's so creepy. The whole thing is creepy. It's just creepy.
That just goes to
The infatuation. It's just something about that infatuation of the mother for me. It's just,
Well, if you look at the date, though,
yeah, him too. Him too.
apparently has passed away since the debut of the video. If you look at Bob, I don't think his shame comes. He never talks about the worst time being that he let this man assault and violate his daughter. He talks about the worst time being the two worst times in his life, or that when he gave him the reach around the first time, and when he had to divorce, when he served his wife with divorce papers. Those are the 2 times that were worst times in his life. He never mentioned that the worst time in his life is when he could not touch his daughter, like he could not contact her, like he didn't know where she was, he didn't know what she was doing. He never talked about this being the worst times of his life, because it wasn't. The worst times of his life is when he acted on his homosexual tendencies and when he divorced his wife. So again, these are about community. You broke community covenant. That's what he's talking about. He never talks about the covenant that he broke between himself and his child, because it was never about Jan. Even the mom, Marianne, never talked about how devastating this was to her daughter, how this man raped her. They're like, well, they did the exam, and during the exam, they didn't find any evidence of sexual assault. This man had your daughter for 35 days, and you don't think that he did anything to her?
And even I'm like, even Jan said that that of course he didn't break her hand, really, because
No, he just put the tip in.
he was putting the tip in. That was it.
Because he was smart enough to know.
Thank you.
He
Very
was
much
smart enough to know.
I was thinking that when
I
was thinking that exact. I was like, he knew what to do. Why do you think
he
he
could
was
still
doing
get her
this?
pregnant without breaking her hymen.
He knew exactly.
He could still get her pregnant without breaking her hymen. She could still be a part of their Mormon community because she was technically still a virgin.
Mm-hmm. He was smart.
All of that. But again, the mom even asked B, why did you marry her? Why did you marry her? Not why did you take my child? Why did you do this to her? Why did you destroy her? Why did you marry her? It has always been about breaking the covenant of the community and about them being in love with B and who could get him first.
Yep. It made me think.
They never talk about the devastation of Jan. Now her sisters talk about the broken relationship of their parents and how they don't understand how their parents would allow this. Like they're like, the sisters are like, well, our childhood pretty much was okay besides what was going on with Jan. Like that was scary.
Well, they did talk about how they were not close to Jan like they had previously were.
Mm-hmm.
They noticed that Jan was not the same person each time she came back after each abduction. Right. But in Jan's mind, she was saving the world. Like, y'all prevent me. I'm trying to save y'all's life. And y'all prevent me. I don't want y'all to die. I'm trying to save your life. I got to have this child. The aliens is going to incinerate me and kill my sister, and my dad's going to die. And y'all are preventing me from helping you guys.
Yep.
Ooh, Lord.
In her mind.
My eye.
The second time watching, the first time, like I said, the first time I watched this, I was like, I'm stopping this every 2 minutes because I really can't believe that I'm watching this. I cannot believe that these parents are sitting here even 40 years later so calmly.
And laughing. They had like little yeah, he said that.
Especially Marianne.
I was like,
And the only time that they cry, especially Bob, the only time that he is emotional is when he's talking about severing the ties with me, severing the ties with his wife. But they're never emotional about Janet. Never. Janet isn't even emotional about herself because she's in her 50s at this point. She can't have a sustainable relationship because no man is going to measure up to her first love. And how she's like, I was committed to that relationship and it was a deep, true love. Girl, you drank all the fucking, you hear me?
Ooh.
She drank all the and so watching
tough
the
pill to
second
swallow.
time, I'm like,
I can't.
watching it with Brandy and I are watching it in two different locations at the same time. So I really can't put pause because it's gonna, like her video is gonna go ahead of mine or whatever. So I'm just watching, I'm trying to write down like notes and trying to write down my questions. And so now the second time through, I'm looking for certain things, like I notice certain things, and I'm looking at their body language, and I'm looking at the smiles and the smirks, and I'm like paying more attention. And I'm listening this time. I'm still disgusted, but I'm able to listen to the tapes and the voice of B that go throughout the video. My God.
This is I watched it again the other day, so that was my fourth time watching it because I literally
You said
fourth time. The first time I watched it up there when I was at work. The second time I watched it again at home because I couldn't believe that really was what I watched. That is legit my emotion. The third time I watched it with my sister because I wanted her to know how completely and utterly insane this was. So the whole time she like this. So she paused it first. And so this fourth time, I actually noticed a lot more because the other times I was so baffled and still was baffled. But I was so baffled. Like, I'm like, is this real? Like, I really have to question, like, is this real? This can't be a real, true story. It can't be. And so when I watched it the other day, when I noticed the mom's little sudden movements and the little smiles on her face, the glow when she talked about it, even now, even when she talked about how he kidnapped, how she talked about their relationship, it's a glow when she talks.
When she's talking about when the first time that they had gone on the church retreat trip, she's like, well, we kissed and we necked, and that's kind of like all we did.
Necking.
It's like she had this sheen of, like, ooh.
We were necking and kissing, and that was her complete reaction because of what I said, necking.
You had sex with your husband and your baby, and you.
Then his body language, his everything. I just paid a lot more attention to this time, like you said. Is just kind of like subtle things, like
just don't understand. Just don't. I get that this is the 1970s, and I get that this is middle America in Idaho, kind of middle. Well,
I still think they were too ridiculously naive.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, I don't understand how all of these things were present the same damn time, and y'all were like, no, he didn't kidnap her. He would have never.
He would never do that.
Nice. You let this grown ass man sleep with your kid.
That killed me.
So that's an argument about a certain celebrity that has passed.
I mean, we didn't see what was wrong with it. I mean, he needed to do it for therapy.
When I talk about this,
that's literally what the daddy said. He was like, we didn't see anything wrong with it. He needed it for therapy, right? It was for therapy. Crazy.
There was a certain celebrity that used to like to have children at his house, and people get mad when I make the argument that shit was unnatural, and they always talk about how he lost his childhood and I don't give a shit. That's a grown ass man. And any parent that lets their children sleep with a grown ass man, something's wrong with y'all.
I'm not.
Because even
no,
me and you on the same page with that because we had this conversation. But even B says that he was abused by an aunt when he was 4, and he
Mhm.
needed to take care of a little girl, which is justifying his abuse against his sister, alleged abuse against his sister, and then his abuse against Jan. But you have children of your own. Well, did you do that to your own kids? Is that why Gail gave up Jan to your kids? Is that why because there's no one possible way that wife didn't know what you were
She
doing.
knew.
She's the one who approached the Brobergs to get the affidavit signed that he didn't do anything.
She
You were
knew.
protecting your own kids, so you just sacrificed somebody else's kids for yours.
Mhm. Pretty much.
I don't understand the child. Where do they raise people like this? Even in the 1970s, you had to have now see, you had to have some sort of common sense. Now, again, I understand trying to keep things in house because traditionally and as a cultural, Black folks, Black Americans keep things like this away from the community, keep things in house. Having said that, B would have gotten his ass dragged from one end of the block to the other end of the block. Now they might not have told you what he did, but he'd have got his ass dragged from one end of
Or
the
he
block.
just want to disappear.
Yeah. Mhm.
Ain't no way y'all would have had this going on for year after year after year after year, and the mom would have had an affair, the dad would have had an affair, then you break the baby, and then everybody's cool and you sleeping at the house and shit.
No.
No,
First of all, you ain't. First of all, you ain't to be sleeping in no bed with no music playing, telling you to go ahead and keep doing what you're doing with this child.
you don't understand. You
God.
just got free access to my house, and you at my house every night playing with my kids, with your kids at home.
This
That's
thing
red
is
flag in
just-
itself. Because listen, if you are with a man or a woman that pays a lot of attention to your kids but abandons her own, you be like, so why are you so
Right.
interested in somebody else's kids and you got kids of your own? Why do you have free
Right.
access to my house? Why do you want free access to my house? Why are you hanging around all these damn kids all the time?
I can't. I just
I'm still so
getting
outdone
upset
about
again. I'm getting upset.
the free access that they gave him to they served their daughter to him. Period. They
Pretty
gave
much.
her away to him. You let this man take her on horseback riding trips, overnight trips. You let him take her out on his boat when he was with other adults. You let him take her where he did not take his own kids.
I can't. Y'all, this documentary upset me so much. Like, I would never speak to my parents again. Like, never. Like,
Shit was amazing. It is amazing that people think this way and that 40 years later,
Yeah.
they were like
Still thinking the same way.
still thinking the same.
They were still thinking the same way. They were still sad that B wasn't around. They were still sad that, at the end of the day, Jan won. I mean, she didn't win, but she won. Because when he made that statement, there will never be anybody else in the world for him, ever. Not even the wife that he already had, not his children, nobody. It will forever be Jan. And the sound of her voice when he said that was that I was like, this.
I can't deal. I'm done, y'all. I'm
They,
done.
they,
All right, we're gonna go ahead and yeah. So again, if you haven't seen the documentary, even after all that we
Please.
said, we still haven't, even though we've given you details,
There's
it's
so
still
much.
worth
There's so
watching.
much bull in this.
It is still worth watching. Your sense of awe and disgust, and it's a train wreck with multiple fatalities, and you have to watch. You absolutely cannot.
You really do. Please, please, please.
It's only about an hour and a half, but give yourself about 4 or 5 hours to digest because you're gonna have to stop this every 10 minutes because
Because we all of us can agree that the first watch
is like
was like,
what?
I was at work at my desk. I'm like, I know people wonder. I'm like, what?
See, I knew Jackie and I sat across from each other, like kind of corner to each other. I had watched the video over the weekend. She sits over there. Jackie was sit at her desk, and she wouldn't say much. She came in. You came in about an hour after me, and Jackie wouldn't say much, but I knew she was on her phone. or watching videos. And she's over there and she's going ape shit. Like she's like, what? And I was
I'm
like,
standing up. I'm like, Brandy, what's going
stood up, and I was like, you watching that video, huh? You watching that movie? And she's like, yeah. And so I was like, at lunch, we're gonna
I
talk
just
about this.
like I just constantly kept puffing like Brandy. She was like, mm-hmm. I'm like, Brandy.
Did we go to Chili's for drinks that day at lunchtime?
Yeah, I think so.
I need a drink now. A heavy drink. I know
Heavy
people
drink.
drink.
This is
I heavy drink
lunch
yesterday. I can't do it today.
So,
I need something stronger than a nip.
yeah,
Yesterday yesterday I got
nice.
Because
like,
I'm trying to pull myself together because
Yeah. So this was a two. I think I had two margaritas at Chili's that afternoon. Yeah, we drank on the job. We did. We did. We did. Well, we weren't technically, we weren't on the job.
we're on break.
We were on break. They didn't say you couldn't drink. They just said don't come back drunk.
And they said don't drink at the job.
Right.
We didn't do that.
So we would get the drinks to go. No, we would drink and get our food to go.
Yeah.
We would get chips and salsa, Chili's, and order our food to go. Like the waitresses at Chili's at a certain point knew exactly what we were gonna do. She's like, okay, what drinks do you guys want today? And then she's like, so you want your food to go? Yep. And I want my iced tea in a cup. Thank you.
Give us the $5.
And they're whatever their monthly special was, we get two of those. And then I would get my iced tea, my sweet tea to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then my food to go. So we were still in company time. I still took 45 minutes to eat the rest of my lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday I had 7 shots of Hennessy. I drunk my auntie got married yesterday.
were you happy about it?
Of course.
No,
But
'cause
my family, they're
usually-
my family are very hard partiers. And I normally don't ever party that much, but it literally was going like this, shots. And I was like, shit. Jack, you have to do shots. I was like, okay. So shots, I had like some drink. I don't know. I had like 4 or 5 different drinks. I don't know. A couple of Henny coladas. That's what the woman called it. A Henny colada. I had 3 of those.
You must have.
I don't even know how you're here today.
Yeah, I was so down. And this morning got up and went and had to go work at church because I'm a nursery teacher at my church. And
Shazam.
so me and my sister, wait, me and my sister were both. So
you was leaning against the wall the whole service.
We work in a nursery.
That's even worse.
We came in, we worked like we know to do.
Or the baby.
What we did do was like, y'all hungry? Let's eat some pizza so we can soak up some of this. Look, me and Jenny looked at each other today and was like,
see, I should have known something when you came in here barefaced. Usually,
yeah,
you usually had them eyelids, you got them lashes on.
That's why.
Ready and everything.
I put that. You should see me put that concealer on. My stuff is right, like right here. I was like, I was like, Jesus. So yeah. So that's why I have no drink.
Go ahead and go to bed
Oh,
early.
barefaced. Girl, it's time. I didn't even know if y'all saw it. I was like,
Oh no.
I mean, I seen you one time, but I thought maybe you was looking at your phone.
no, it was just kind of tired. But I had fun.
So you're not as upset as we might be right now because you.
Oh no, I'm still upset.
Brand ain't as upset either because she done got her a little drink, but I'm up here fuming.
No, I'm probably not your upset, but I'm upset. Maybe
I mean,
I'm not as upset because
I'm not even lying. Like my eye is twitching every time we talk about this. My eye starts twitching, like it's literally twitching right now.
Randy, we watched this like at what was it, like 1 o'clock?
I was just gonna say, how did that go? Because if she acted like this,
because I was at work, so it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Randy calls me around like 12:30. So I was like, "Are we gonna watch this video?" And because that's when I put in the group chat, "Hey, don't forget to watch it," just as a refresher. And Brandy and I are watching it, and then an hour after we finished, Brandy is still like pissed, and I was like, "You are really mad." She was like, "I don't understand." And then she Googles all this stuff, and she's giving all these like background about everything about the people, and
Because I'm like, where the hell was Gail? But they said that Gail divorced him before the second abduction. But he married some other woman. He was married to some other woman.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Around on the book tour, and he killed himself.
yeah,
He was married to somebody else.
Gail got out of it. I think Gail just abandoned ship. She protected what she could protect. She protected her image, and when she got the affidavit signed, and she's like, "I gotta go."
And this house said, Brand, she's somewhere with a whole other name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Her
I wouldn't
kids
want no
don't even
connection.
know
Her
what
kids,
Her name's probably Gail Smith or something.
Yeah,
we want no connection to that. None.
I wouldn't either.
No connection.
She's just as culpable as he is, or as at least the Brobergs were, because she knew what he was
Yeah,
doing.
she knew. Her man wasn't in her bed for
And
that side of the week.
there were other people in the community that allowed that shit to happen too, because
Mhm.
the old man was like, "Well, she was on the boat with us," and I said, "I can't associate with this anymore." But she didn't say nothing. You didn't say nothing. You didn't go tell the Brobergs what was going on. You didn't go tell the authorities what was going on, because in those, I have to think that
Do
in
you
those
think
communities, that kind of
it would
thing.
have worked if he did say it? It wouldn't have worked. These people were so enamored by B, it would not have worked. They would have been like, no, that's not B.
Because they're
He
still saying it.
would never.
They're still saying it.
He's a good and neighborly man.
You know, it's another part that tripped me out when she was checking him in that courthouse that hearing. She's like, "I just want you to apologize." He said, "I'll apologize." I was like, "Little smart ass." He know damn well what he was trying to do.
He was very manipulative.
So smart. It was like, look, she making a fiasco. This will make her feel better. Y'all watch. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Thank God she won. But I was like, look at him being a smart ass.
And he was very calm. He's like, "You know that this is not true. This is, you know."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Mr. Berchtold, Mr. Berchtold."
I can't believe you would look me in my eye and say those things.
Y'all should see my legs right now. I mean, I'm tapping.
Well,
the
you
hell
shaking,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, you shaking.
I'm
Yeah,
sitting on my hands,
You got your little nip that you can take. So
and I'm doing this on empty stomach too. Like I'm not good right now.
this is an amazing story. All right, y'all. We will go ahead and end the show.
Yeah, because we got save B.
Yes. So what we can try
Right on.
to do is maybe we could go and do a live QA in a couple of days after the show airs to see if you guys are interested. Let us know. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know if you want us to go live on Instagram. One, two, three of us to go live on Instagram, and we can all discuss this. Or you can leave all your questions in the comments on YouTube. So again, this episode will air on every Tuesday on YouTube. We have new episodes for you, and you can always visit us on Instagram and on Facebook for anything that we find interesting. So we will bid you adieu, and we will see you next week. All right, thank you guys. Be safe, be blessed, and enjoy that second cup. See y'all next.